Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am PANCZASU and welcome to a video where I show you my favorite games of 2014. If you have watched my previous video of the series quote-unquote in 2012, then you know what to expect. I'll just list a few of the games that I enjoyed playing the most in the passing year, and the only requirement for them to actually be on this list is so that they have been released in 2014. No other requirements are necessary except for the fact that they have to be my favorite games. As simple as that. Now, of course, this is an extremely subjective list, but I'll do my best to explain to you why, for me, those games were the most enjoyable. And in most cases you will find out that not only I believe that those games are the best games that were released this year, for me at least, but additionally every single one of them was special in some unique way. And that's why they are on this list, as simple as that. So, without further ado, let's start with number 6, Card City Nights. I have to admit, out of all the games on this list, this one is probably the most cheerful and bright game that I could possibly think of. It's so packed full of positive energy, it just makes me smile. I have to say, I picked it up when I was sick, I believe, somewhere in March or something, and I was just playing it while laying down on a couch, and it was really an enjoyable experience, surprisingly so. This game is a collectible card game, a very simplistic one. It will only take you a few hours to beat it, and it doesn't have a whole ton of replay value, unfortunately, so you're probably going to end your adventure right there. But oh boy, is it a fun adventure! The mechanics of this game are beautifully simplistic and yet work in a fairly cool way. You've got your deck of cards, those cards connect with other cards via arrows. You have to place those cards on your board and you have to win. You have several ways that you can win. You can, for example, deal damage to your enemy. You can deal damage to enemy cards to disable them. Now, disabled cards stay on the board and you have to revive them, or you just have to let them stay there forever until the match is over. If the enemy board or your board is full, then you or your enemy lose the game, so that is another lose condition. Alternatively, you can just continue healing yourself and ignoring the enemy completely, which can also lead you to victory. You don't have to attack the enemy. If you heal yourself, your enemy is going to run out of cards eventually, start taking fatigue damage, and since you have basically infinite HP, your enemy is going to die before you do. So yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. This game has a lot of gameplay potential and it's just fun to play, and I really wish it had multiplayer so badly because it would be such a fun game, even if in multiplayer too it would probably get stale after a while. Regardless though, my time with this game has been most enjoyable. And last but by no means least, the music of this game, so good. It's this kind of mix between jazz and hip-hop thingy something. I don't even know, it's amazing. So yeah, check the game out, it's pretty effing fun, and it well deserves its spot on my list. Number 5, The Wolf Among Us. I do have to say I really have a soft spot for this game. For those of you who do not know, it's a game about fables, characters from children's tales living in New York, because why on earth not? It's based on a comic series and brought to a video game format in a rather great way. Now, for those of you who do not know the studio behind this game, Telltale's Games, they tend to make their games in a fairly simplistic manner, where you walk a little bit, collect a few items, there are some quick time events involved in it, mostly related to fights and whatnot, but most importantly, and the main way you play those games is via all the decisions you make during dialogues, and those decisions influence the rest of your game. You can offend somebody and this person will hold a grudge, and they will stab you in the back a few episodes later if you are not careful. It's a pretty great experience, and what makes it even better is the setting. I love children's book tales, I have to admit, but not maybe like all of you do. For example, when I was a child, a really young child, and I was told this tale about the wolf, the big bad wolf, for the first time, after the end of the tale, was a little bit surprised, and I was like, okay, but why did they cut the wolf and throw him in the river? He didn't do anything wrong. He was hungry, he just ate something. That's what wolves do, right? That's not exactly the words I used when I was a kid, but you still get what I mean. I always sided with the wolf, and to have a chance to play as the big bad wolf in a video game, a really good video game as well, is like a treat for me, something I always wanted to do without even knowing that I did. Seriously though, it's an amazing experience. And the graphics of this game also fitted extremely well. They are very they have this fairy feel, and the music also fits it very well. This kind of gloomy but also fairy feel at the same time. It's really well put together, and I enjoy it a lot. The only reason this game isn't higher on my list, honestly, is purely because the ending was a little bit disappointing. Not the events leading to the ending. The last 5th episode of this game, which, yes, it is episodic by the way, the 5th episode of this game, the first half of the 5th episode was pretty amazing. I mean, really amazing. I felt like, yeah, this is what I wanted, and then it went downhill because it kind of felt like my decisions didn't matter all that much in the end. Like, some people who I did all the best things for kinda sided against me for no particular reason, and I didn't enjoy that a great deal. Regardless though, the journey itself was certainly worth it, and this game is one of my favorites, as you can probably tell by my excitement. Number 4. Dungeon of the Endless. The first new old-school adventure dungeon squad-based tower defense roguelike strategy role-playing game-like. I learned this by heart, it took a while. Anyway, you know what this game is, you have seen it on my channel before. I doubt there is any reason for me to explain any more of it, other than to say that yes, thank you Amplitude for creating something that is so effing unique. It's amazing, it blows my mind. It's a concept that is a complete mishmash of all the different game styles and genres that just creates something entirely new. And I really wish this game picked up more, steam on Steam, if you know what I mean. That it was more popular, because it deserves to be. It's a very unique concept, executed exceptionally well. And if you want to know exactly what I mean by that, I do suggest you check out my videos, because honestly, I made quite a lot of those. You know I'm excited for this game, you know that I like it, and there isn't really much else to add to it. It's pretty great. I do have some issues with it, mostly with the way multiplayer is handled, but regardless, in single player itself, this game is really effing fun and can last you for pretty much ever if you are into this style of games, especially if you play under the endless mode. For me, I just enjoy the concept, it's pretty amazing, and the uniqueness of it is well worth putting it on number 4 on my top games of 2014. Number 3, One Finger Death Punch, baby! Man, I love this game. I have to admit that it was really tempting to put it as my second favorite game of this year, but it was a very close match, and in the end I decided to leave it to number 3, but still, it was a very well-deserved spot on my list. Because this game is, similarly to Dungeon of the Endless, very unique actually. It is, yes, a fighting game where you just use 2 buttons. It has been done before, I think. I mean, certainly it has been done before. But it's just executed so incredibly well, I'm in love with it. Now, just to give you a little bit of backstory, I'm not too big into fighting games at all. The only one, aside from this, that I ever played for any considerable amount of time was Injustice: The Gods Among Us, and that's it. And I was horrible at it as well. Fighting games are really not my style. I usually do not see the appeal of them, and I don't enjoy playing them, and I'm also bad at them, so there's nothing that I should like about One Finger Death Punch in theory. But in practice, it's a game executed, created so masterfully and skillfully that there is nothing not to like about it. Whenever I feel like I just want to play something for 5 minutes, or when I want to feel effing epic and awesome for a while, which happens fairly frequently, the only game I can think of that I could play in such situations is One Finger Death Punch. It's incredibly fluid, dynamic, and extraordinarily well put together combat system. Makes you feel like you are an absolute avatar of destruction sent here to be the reclamation of all the sinners in the entire world and destroy them with your mighty kung fu skills and stabs. I don't even know. It's just crazy amount of fun to beat people up. That's what I'm getting at. Regardless, the concept is great. There are many multiple modes in this game as well, so you will never be bored. There's like a mode where you just fight the enemies, there's a mode where you have to destroy objects, where there's a mode where you throw daggers, there's a mode when you have to kill the enemy waves in a certain amount of times, there's a boss rush, there is the thing that you see in the background, which by the way is an endless mode, which also has a bit of light sword and nunchaku round added to it, which is, the way I see it, awesomeness with extra laser awesomeness added to it. Basically, this game makes my blood flow faster, and it's something, it just makes me smile, and not too many games, actually barely any games, are capable of making me literally smile while I'm playing them. Usually have a very poker face when I'm playing video games, not when I'm playing One Finger Death Punch, I don't, I smile like a maniac. That's how good this game is. And it is something that I'll always keep playing, I think, and I'll never forget about it. Great game, love it a ton, and you should check it out. Number 2. Endless Legend. Now tell me, did you really think, just for a second, that I'm not going to put this game on this list? I don't think so. Have you seen the amount of videos I made about Endless Legend already on my channel? Have you seen the amount of tutorials I put out, the hours I put into playing this online and offline? Add to that double that amount I spent playtesting this game in VIP hidden private builds of this game, and yes, I have been playing it a ton this past year. In fact, I have been playing it the most this past year, and it is already one of my most played games on Steam, which usually does not mean much. I don't play games for an extensive amount of times usually, but this game I do, trust me, I do, and I enjoy it a great deal. And most importantly, it's not only a great Forex game, which is something that you know I believe firmly in if you have watched any of my videos, but additionally the important thing is, it restored my faith that Forex genre has a future. Like, don't get me wrong, I always liked Forex games a lot, and I would always like them still. I really enjoyed the concept, but I thought that everything there was to be done about Forex games was done already. I could not imagine that they can be improved in a significant and new way. And Endless Legend proved me wrong. Endless Legend proved me that in a Forex genre, there can be new, unique and fresh ideas that spice up the gameplay with seemingly small changes that actually change everything about this game, and it's amazing. Like, I've seen concepts of other Forex games before many and many times, but Endless Legend is quite unique in many ways. In some ways it's similar to older Forex games, and in some ways it's just new and fresh and stylistically fun, and I do like it a lot. Yes, there are some issues I have with this game, of course, and there are many complaints I have about it that I have voiced in the past, but that's only because I like this game so much. I really believe that without it released, my year would have been poorer. And well, you have seen what it has done for my channel as well, and it is responsible for me going to Paris twice last year, additionally. So, in all seriousness, there's nothing I cannot like about Endless Legend, and it certainly deserves the spot as my second favorite game of this year. But now you may be thinking, Endless Legend didn't make it to number 1. What did? Number 1. My favorite game of 2014, And additionally, one of the 3 favorite games that I have ever played in my entire life. The Walking Dead Season 2 video game made by Telltale Games. Some of you may have caught a glimpse of now a public video I posted when this game went on sale. Those of you already know that I have some very strong feelings for this game and that I thoroughly love it. Not just enjoy it, I do kinda love it in a specific way. It's one of those games that I value so much that if I had a choice of either playing only The Walking Dead Season 2 or all the other games that came out this year, I would pick The Walking Dead without even thinking for a second. It's a game very similar to The Wolf Among Us because it's made by the same developers. It's an episodic game where you play as your lead character, you walk around and interact with objects a little bit, you have some quick time events rather, where you have to combat mostly zombies, but not only. But most importantly, you interact with other characters. Now, for those of you who know nothing about The Walking Dead, it is a very unique setting actually. I mean, the setting itself might sound very repetitive. It's zombie apocalypse. Yes, we know it has been done before several times. Too many times perhaps even. But not like this. In here the zombies are more like, you know, the background, the explanation for the bad things that are happening that are just a little bit more dramatic perhaps than alien invasion or something. The meat of the game are the interactions between characters that you can somewhat influence but also observe and see how the story and more importantly the characters are developing throughout the series. And that is insane what the writers of this game can actually do. It is mind-boggling. There are 2 levels of this game, right? The first is the story, and the story is very well put together, greatly crafted, excellently, masterfully crafted in fact, and I enjoy it a great deal. It's quite ingenious in fact, and it's very captivating. But the most important thing for me are the characters actually, and they feel alive. Like, have you ever played a game, read a book, watched a movie or something where you saw a character and you was like, well, this guy or gal actually feels like this could be a real person. For me, it doesn't happen too often. I am usually very picky when it comes to that. But this game can do that to me. The cast of this game feels real, and it feels like I'm watching a real story unfold in front of my eyes, and better yet, I'm actually part of the story and I'm influencing it, and it's just an incredible experience, and especially the emotional attachments that you begin developing with the characters of the game and with the lead heroine is just boggling my mind. It's so good. Now, in 2012, I also mentioned in an annotation that The Walking Dead Season 1 was my second favorite game of the year. But the difference between Season 1 and Season 2 is actually fairly big. Don't get me wrong, Season 1 was amazing. It really was. One of the better games I played, but not to this magnitude. Season 2 outdid Season 1 because of how emotional it made me feel. Like, several times at the end of it, I cried. And I do not mean like one solitary tear fell out of my eyes and stuff like this. No. I cried. I was sobbing, crying, and I felt completely drunk without having, you know, drank a single drop of liquor. I was drunk. At some point near the end of the game, I had to pause for a second, walk to the bathroom, or rather stumble towards the bathroom. That's the shape I was in. You know, wash my face with cold water, breathe for a while, and then slowly go back into it because I just couldn't take it. Now, I'm a very emotional person. I doubt most of you will be able to develop this kind of attachment with the characters. But believe me when I say it, I usually don't develop this kind of attachment either. It takes a very special game from me to react to it this much. And this game is very special. I want to beg those writers to teach me their secrets, how they can develop the story and the characters so well, and at the same time I kinda want to just kill them, brutally murder them for what they made me go through. It's incredible. So yeah, the ending is incredible. Absolutely incredible, and I don't think I will ever forget it. I mean, I know I will never forget it. It's something that I will cherish forever. You know what kind of gamer I am. Those kind of games where story and characters are developed so well are my favorites. My second favorites are strategy games that require a lot of thinking and a very challenging and whatnot, but they are miles behind what is my favorite. And this is a perfect example of my favorite type of game. I know it has been several minutes of me talking about The Walking Dead, but I believe that this game deserved my time, and I wanted to try to at least, you know, get as close to explaining my feelings and where they come from for this game to you as possible, because it is really quite a significant achievement in my mind. And the only two games I can possibly compare it to is Analog A Hate Story, which remains my favorite game of all times, and also Hate Plus, which is another game in my list of 3 favorite games of my entire life. Regardless though, The Walking Dead Season 2 is incredible. And it ends my list of my favorite games of 2014, ladies and gentlemen. It was PANCZASU, also known as the Mighty Mix Spammer. An amazing year gaming-wise behind us. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Some incredible games were made, and let us hope that the next year, or this year rather, is going to be just as amazing, or maybe even better if at all possible. Well, The Walking Dead Season 3 is coming out, so it is very much a possibility, at least for me. Until then though, thank you for watching, and I'll see you online.